Hello there. All right, so this will be the first live stream. So if I make some mistakes, well, bear with me. So, how's it going through? Full anime. Question. Personally, I never heard of it, but I don't watch a lot of anime either, so I think the last anime I watched was Yu-Gi-Oh, so you can kind of tell how long ago that was. And we're talking about the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, so the people who have been awake these few days and who have been keeping an eye on YouTube, at least on my channel, will also know that there has been a name change of the channel. Um, After a decade, I just saw something on Discord. Thank you, Ben. Emperor Bricks. All right. So, there actually has been a name change. Yes, I decided to change the name from LordZirk into General Zirkobi. Now, some people may wonder why that is. Well, let me tell you. The reason for that is simply because I thought it fit. I thought I liked it. And usually, when I've been going to a con, I have been cosplaying as Obi-Wan, so, you know, let the beard grow, although I have to trim it down soon. Alright, so people can pretty much ask anything. Shouldn't be anything who doesn't like dank memes. Right, Kylo? By the way, this is not beer. This is apple juice mixed with carbonated water. And it's without alcohol, don't worry. Alright. But yeah, again, to answer Kylo Ren's question, showing the Lego collection, trust me, I would love to. Yeah, thanks. See, I would actually love to show the Lego collection. Unfortunately, that is a bit complicated. The reason why is because the Lego collection was in the past situated at my father's house. Unfortunately, he moved, so around January, February this year, I had to pack everything down in boxes, and, well, you try and pack down 130 plus something sets. I still have all the instruction books right in there, but you try and pack all those down. It took a friend and my girlfriend and one of her friends. It took us a few days to pack all that together. Favorite Lego Star Wars set, Enigma? Well, it's a good question. In all honesty, I don't really know which one I like more because we can talk nostalgic value, we can talk about how many awesome features they have, we can talk about a lot of things and take them into account, but in all honesty though, I love every single set the same. Again, for those who didn't notice, this is not beer, even though it looks like it. It's apple juice with carbonated water. What are my thoughts? Well, I was made a head admin there. Still don't know why, but I like being there. I mean, if I didn't, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have stayed there. So I think it's a great place. But in all honesty, though, I would say throw in a link in the comments so that other people watching this can also get into the server, because I tried putting it into a video or two of mine, but I don't really think it gave anything. So if you can, throw the invitation in the comments. My thoughts on retreat. Well, the Danish army doesn't retreat. We just tactically advance backwards. So, but yeah, it was actually through the current Discord server that was mentioned earlier that flex tape. Oh, barely know what it is. I know duct tape works. I mean, Mythbusters actually managed to keep a boat watertight with it, so I would say it's functional. But flex tape, no idea. Well, what can I say about that? In all honesty, I'm flattered, but I don't think I am. So, but I appreciate the compliment nonetheless, Admiral. I have to be a moderator. Let's see here. Ah! Like a Star Wars game since they were on Xbox. Depends on what kind of old Star Wars games you're talking about specifically. I must admit I've never used an Xbox, so it's a bit difficult. Top tier beard. Thanks. Ah, and there was the link. Nice one, Ben. Or should I say Bricks? Or Ben Patine? You choose. Original Battlefront, I would definitely say go ahead. Now, as I mentioned, I never really touched an Xbox, so that's a bit difficult for me to talk about. I did, however, play both the old and both old first and second Battlefront. So on PS2 though, but I would say if they're compatible with Xbox, I would definitely give it a shot. Advertising the server? Maybe a little bit. Do you like PlayStation consoles or Xbox consoles? I'm not going to say anything negative about either, because I know that there's this kind of three-way battle between PC gamers, Xbox gamers, and PS gamers. And in all honesty, I'm mostly playing on PC. I have been playing a lot on a PS2 in the past. My girlfriend and me actually just got a PS4, the Star Wars version, the Slim version. But I don't really have anything bad to say about Xbox, because I wouldn't know what I was talking about. Obi-Wan or Ben Kenobi? Good question. But usually, the times that I have cosplayed as Obi-Wan, I did it as Episode 3 Kenobi. So I would probably say Obi-Wan. Plus, I like the fact that he's good at trolling, especially during the Clone Wars. Alright, so I actually just finished writing another script for a versus video, and I'll see when I can get that thing uploaded. I'm not exactly going to be revealing yet, except that you know the usual pattern, being introduction history, general things and aspects, speed and maneuvering, offensive defensive capabilities, and final verdict and closing thoughts. The 5-point matrix that I always use. I like PC gaming and PS gaming, Xbox gaming, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Well, actually, who is the Troll Master, Obi-Wan or Luke in Episode 8? It's a tough one because I thought it was actually quite hilarious what he sometimes did when he tricked Rey with trying to use the Force or having to feel the Force. I thought, well, that one was pretty good, but due to all the showings that we've seen with Obi-Wan, especially during the Clone Wars, but also a little bit in both episodes 2 and 3, even episode 1, I would still have to go with Obi-Wan. Kylo, I'm not exactly sure what you mean by this 6-0 bun with Barrow. Well, as we're talking about run with Cachio, yeah. Still don't exactly know what you're talking about there. As I was about to mention earlier, I did have another script for a versus video finished, and you're gonna have to see what that one's all about when it comes out. Can't say I have, no. Honestly, don't know. It's actually very very sparse with what kind of Star Wars books that I really have. I think the only one that I really do have, which I can't find right now because it's somewhere in the bookshelf. Oh, Fortnite. At least that's what I think it's supposed to be saying. Death Troopers? I think they're alright. Not so much into Troopers, honestly, but I don't know. Oh yes, I know, Briggs. A lot of people love Death Troopers, and other troops in general, especially clones. Imagine what would have actually happened had 5 succeeded in in having the majority of the clones removing their inhibitor chips. Would have been an interesting story. Huh, zombie Sith. Female Anakin Skywalker made on Ben's server. In all honesty, I haven't even seen it. So, if you're referring to the roleplay servers, I haven't exactly been paying too much attention to that because I've had other things to attend to. And Fives is awesome, yeah. And what's the video idea? and what's usually unnecessary. Well, I could try to make one, although these what-if scenario videos have never really been been my strong side. But it doesn't hurt to try something new. I'll definitely try and look into it. I really need to trim that beard. But yeah, are there any kind of Star Wars vehicles or ships that you want to see a versus video made of? What if Rex and Ahsoka fell in love, giving Rex hell about it on Ben's server? Yeah, well, about that, back in the time in 2010 where I was on a boarding school, there was another guy who was also a massive Star Wars fan, and we actually went to Wikipedia to see what was Ahsoka's story because we didn't think that the Clone Wars series would actually continue. So what we had actually done was to look it up, and there on Wikipedia itself, it even said that after the Clone Wars, Rex and Ahsoka got married and got little clonelings. Imagine you're a pilot. Step out of your ship to see 20 red lightsabers ignite and see 100 zombie Sith students. This is where the fun begins. Nah. As Obi-Wan said, this is going to be easy. More than anything, if you actually have to fight someone, it's almost more a battle of your mental capabilities than it is of your physical capabilities, because if you have already mentally won the battle and already mentally defeated your enemy, they're going to be very unstable. Advanced Dwarf Spider Droid versus Octu Tara? Don't exactly know how to pronounce that. What do I think about people that can't speak and are mutes? I think they're fine. I don't really have anything negative to say about other people. I mean, so was actually okay. That's a long time ago, but I was actually in a relationship with a deaf person once. The relationship didn't go so well, but she was really nice in the beginning. So I don't really mind people who are either mute or deaf or, well, whatever it can be, as long as they're nice people, just like anyone else. Commandos or ARC troopers? Huh. Well, that's a fun one. In all honesty, though, I prefer ARC troopers. The three-legged thing from the Clone Wars movie. You mean the all-terrain attack pod? ATAP? Or do you mean the big droid that the Separatists are using? Emperor or Rancor? Well, in all honesty, I think they're both great people. The droid. Okay. So, what's with that three-legged droid? Rancor forever owner. Alright then. But, see. That's an interesting one, actually. I'll have to do a little research on those two before I can actually make a proper conclusion on that one. Not saying that any of my previous conclusions on versus videos are actually proper, but that's up to you to decide. Just giving my sense on what I think whenever I've deduced a battle. You have any idea how hard it is not to be biased? Okay, you want to see that in a video. Thanks, that means I can have time to do my research. Oh yes, really is. If we're talking about being biased, then yes, it is very hard. What do you think would have happened if the kiss between Luke and Leia in Episode 5 led to an actual romantic relationship? How do you think that would turn out? First of all, I'm just going to be asking why. I completely agree with Kylo Ren there. But in all honesty, though, I think it would be a pretty messed up story, for one. And second of all, think about how Vader would react later on when he actually deduced that Leia was Luke's sister in Return of the Jedi, just before Luke basically rage quits before beating Vader to after beating Vader to a pulp. Incest is a sin. Well, oh, trust me, there are a lot of weird fan fictions out there. My girlfriend wrote one herself. It was between Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Duchess Satine Kryze on Mandalore. It was messed up. Vader or Kylo? Well, in that case, I think it's pretty... My favorite character of those two is definitely Vader. But I do like some things about Kylo, honestly, and I think that in many points, Kylo is a pretty misjudged character. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with being an atheist. I do, however, think that there's something wrong with being such a strong believer of any religion that you basically live your entire life based on that religion. Like you don't allow yourself to actually be a person. You don't allow yourself to be free. If you let the religion control your life, that's a bad thing. That is damaging not only to you but to everyone around you, basically. So, but I definitely like Vader more than Kylo, but I also think that Kylo is a pretty epic character, regardless. And I'll elaborate more on why. What would be your team to take out Vader, Kylo, and Dooku? Who needs a team? Some people call me the Danish Obi-Wan. I just need the high ground. Wants to do a Discord partnership. Well, I'm not the right person to talk to about that. That should be Rancor. Stream is nice to watch while building. Thanks. But what are you building exactly? Oh yes, Lego Mox. Rancor gets daddy. Well, a Republic-controlled city. That's pretty cool. Wish I had the time and the space to build some Mox too. And nice to be in a stream while games download. No, you don't have to get out. And the stream's already. Didn't even think anyone would come here in the first place. So, but no, wish there was a Star Wars and Marvel crossover epic. Don't know what to think about that one, honestly. I think it's pretty. I think there are quite a few things about the Marvel universe that I don't really like very much. One of them is definitely how OP some of the things seem in Marvel. Like, for example, in the first Avengers movie, where Thor channels a lot of lightning and fires it directly at the Iron Man suit, and the suit just powers up. Like, that is a human made creation versus something from a god. That doesn't really make so much sense. And I think they're actually downplaying Thor quite a bit right there. So a crossover between Marvel and Star Wars, I'm not so sure that's a good idea. Because force powers and everything in the Star Wars universe, at least what we see, it seems a bit more down to earth, realistic-ish. Whereas what we see in Marvel is completely ridiculous, basically. The Thor is hot and I'm fangirling right now. Nice. Fortnite default dance. What is so epic about Fortnite, honestly? And now comes a backlash. In the meantime, Batman as a Jedi, I think he could do well. Seeing what kind of fighting style that he's using, being pretty buff and being pretty fast and still using his entire body as a weapon, I would say that if he actually became a Jedi, his fighting style would be a mix between Form 4 Ataru and Form 5 Gemzo. And Batman doesn't kill, does right? Some Jedi do. Except for Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan doesn't kill people. He really sucks at it, in fact. Whose willpower? That's Batman's dad, Kylo. Okay, we'll just leave that there then. So. Fortnite is my city. Reference to England is my city. Now, Star Wars and Star Trek crossover, I believe that would be a good thing to see in a battle. In all honesty, the amount of power that the Enterprise produce in 1 hour is about enough power to run an Acclamator class cruiser for about a split second. So weapons in the Star Wars universe are so much more powerful than those of Star Trek, because in all honesty, there have been made some calculations on it. The thing is, though, that these two are very difficult to actually compare, especially because Star Trek is made to be science fiction, whereas Star Trek is Star Trek is made to be science fiction. However, Star Wars is more science fantasy. It's not actually science fiction so much. And the thing that really gives Star Wars away for being science fantasy is actually the fact that it always starts out with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Just the sentence "a long time ago," already there, we have a complication. Vader go nuts on Star Trek personnel. Well, they don't have the Force in the Star Trek universe, so how effective would he really be? What do you think about Battlefield and Black Ops 4 getting a Battle Royale because of Fortnite? In all honesty, I never played any of them. I've seen Fortnite, and I've seen Battlefield, but the only Battlefield that I actually ever played was 1942. So we're all the way back in the classic. Then again, you could call Battlefront games a Battlefield game, Battlefield as well, but because Battlefront and Battlefield is pretty much the same thing. One of them just has a Star Wars skin over it. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same. (1943) one. 1943 bananas. Well, I've heard about the update for Star Wars Battlefront 2 with the Clone Wars, and my girlfriend and I did buy a what's it called, a PS4 recently. The difference is though that, in all honesty, I'm kind of iffy about it, at least until I've seen it, because we pretty much just bought it and now it's already collecting dust. That's a bit sad, but nevertheless true. She's also having it with her because she's with one of her friends right now. So but yeah, I still have to try out the new Clone Wars version for Battlefront. Something that I would have just really liked to see about Battlefront 2, though, was actually that they would go back to how the old Battlefront 2 actually was, and base the game on that. What I do like, however, is the fact that it has some really wonderful cutscenes. Let's just be honest. I mean, those MC-80 Liberties are beautiful. Thereby not saying that the Star Destroyer is not beautiful, but I am a Mon Calamari person. And that's also because Star Destroyers are so standard. Like, you can ask a lot of people and they say, what's your favorite capital ship in Star Wars? A lot of people are probably going to say a Star Destroyer. Whether or not it's the Venator or the Imperial class, that's up for debate, but most people usually just say Star Destroyer. So from that, we can mostly deduce the Imperial class. Well, the Venator is a Star Destroyer, though. So, what class are you talking about? Don't worry, I'm messing with you. But Venator class Star Destroyer or Imperial class Star Destroyer, I honestly prefer the Venator over the Imperial class. The reason for that is because I feel that the Venator is a lot more balanced. The Venator, unlike the Imperial class, can actually fire backwards. And yes, the Venator class is a lot more sexy, yeah. But not just that. It's generally, I just prefer the design of the Venator, but also because the Venator is faster and it would suit my needs more. Besides, it would be easier to find a parking spot for a Venator than it would be for an Imperial class. Katie or Rancork? Well, in all honesty, I think they're both nice people. Well, that's a nice one, actually. Episode 3 Jedi Starfighter being the ETA-2 Actis Interceptor, or the Episode 2 Delta 7 Aether Sprite Starfighter / Interceptor? That is a good question. I would say that design-wise, I actually prefer the Delta 7, the one from Episode 2. The problem is that... the problem is that I do think that the ETA-2 Actis, which is the one from Episode 3, is both a bit faster and a bit more maneuverable. So, but I have a feeling that the Delta 7 is a little more durable. And I like durable things. Should my city have a medical center or a bunker for civilians? I would say a medical center. Or, well, a bunker for medical supplies, yeah. I agree, Kylo. With injured troops and civvies. Okay. Last time I checked, it was civilians. You're welcome. Well, if they gave R2 a female astromech to hang out with, machines making machines. Help with us. Jango Fett in the Slave One versus Boba Fett in the Slave One. I would probably say Boba Fett in the Slave One because it did have more modifications after it had taken a crash in the Clone Wars episode. And yeah, astromech love. They're amazing. This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. Bender. Bender who? He would be saying, "Bite my skinny metal ass to the Jedi." Star Wars Boba Fett book series is amazing. It probably is. Although my personal opinion about Boba Fett is not the most well-liked opinion out there. I mean, he's said to be the fastest shot in the galaxy, yet he is kinda... well... Yet the only thing that he basically says is, what if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me. Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold. And then he is aiming at Luke at some point, and then a blind man with a boat paddle hits his jetpack and knocks him out. And he basically falls into the Sarlacc pit. So. I would prefer that people keep a nice language in here because... or at least a moderate language. So uncivilized. Do you like the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy? Yes, I do. In fact, I think it's quite entertaining, to say the least. And no, I would prefer that RP is not being done in here, though. Droid bait? I don't know. Guess it was put on a fishing rod so other droids could catch it. Rather, so we could catch other droids. I Sithed my pants. My diaper went to the dark side. Yep, I know that one. That's a great one. Well, that's what we say, isn't it? Sith happens. Fortnite. Well, I don't know what people see in Fortnite, but that's about it. He was killed by commando droids. Wait, who was? Not Boba Fett, according to my knowledge. And I seem to have gotten a bug into the apartment from outside. How it got in, though, I have no idea. The first clone killed in Rookies? I would say the guy who was scouting around on the landing pad outside. But in all honesty, it's a long time since I've watched that episode. Yeah, the deck officer, yeah. That's who I was referring to. Wonder if Palpatine had any lovers in canon, because he did have a lot of lovers in Legends. In all honesty, I have no idea. But who will... I mean, he is Darth Hideous for a reason. Poe-Finn relationship? If it happens, it happens. Showed him die, but yeah, he may have been droid bait after all, actually. Yes, they died. We're all aware of that. There were only 2 final survivors from that base of people who were stationed there. Fives and Echo. But if there's something that I actually think was really sad, it's not just how Fives ended, but actually also how Waxer and Boyle met their ends. Rey and Poe's siblings. Well, ain't that lovely? Yeah. Surprisingly, Echo survived. It's not easy to survive an explosion of that magnitude, especially not on the Citadel. Dansk jävla. Ska fan mycket det danska jävla ska in jävla svenska. Do you think Echo was stationed with the Bad Batch when he survived? In all honesty, I have no idea. Well, now that you say it, Sverige for life. Well, closest thing I ever get to Sweden is actually the fact that I drive a Volvo V70. Basically Swedish. I'm sorry, but what country was it? Denmark or Sweden that lost the biggest amount of wars between? Like Denmark and Sweden basically have the biggest amount of wars going on between 2 countries in the world. So no, I'm not Swedish. Not in any way, in fact. I do have Russian roots though. Russian, German, Danish roots. Final conclusion, none of them really won, but did take some territory from each other from time to time. Oh yeah. Only saw Waxer die. How did Boyle go? Not sure Boyle actually died. Well, he did eventually. If he wasn't shot, he would die from old age. But mm, what I think about the United Kingdom, I don't know. Spoken to a few people from there, and the Brits seem nice. Spoken to a few Scottish people too, and some Irish. Never spoken to a Welsh person though. But in general, I think they're nice people. Although I don't exactly know what I should think about the UK leaving the European Union, with the Brexit and everything. So, but that's a political viewpoint which I would suggest and prefer that we do not keep here, or that we do not talk about here. Well, IKEA is a piece of Sweden right there. At least you don't have to say you lost to Canada. Well, funnily, it's kind of funny that you actually mentioned it because it's the thing with Canada and Denmark. They actually have an ongoing war of some little pathetic island in the middle of the water between Canada and Greenland. And once every 2 or 3 months or so, the Danish Navy sails all the way up there to topple over the Canadian flag, to put up the Danish flag called Dannebrog, and well, then the Danes leave some aquavit and schnapps there. Then some months after, the Canadians come there, they topple over the Danish flag, they rise up their own, they take the Danish schnapps, and they leave some Canadian whiskey for the Danes when they return. It's a kind of ongoing war that's been going on for decades. This is what happens when nice countries fight. Talking to a Brit? Huh, that's kind of cool. Still active on Bessie's Discord? Not much, no. I mean, I do pay a visit to Bessie's Discord from time to time, briefly see how people are doing, but that's really not much. Lost the War of 1812 to Canada? I don't know. Haven't really looked much into it. The only war that I know was going on at that time was one with the tiny United States Navy fighting off the British Empire with their frigates with their flagship called the USS Constitution, one of their frigates back then. Yes, I'm still into politics a lot actually, but I would prefer to keep it off this channel. This is what happens when you're bored. And it actually plays really well. So. 49 minutes, I'm impressed. The fact that people actually stayed here for that long is quite impressive. So, I see I have a notification on Discord. You think the U.S. would have a second civil war? Well, As bad as the election campaigns were back in 2016, in all honesty, if something like that happened, it wouldn't actually surprise me anymore. We were fighting the British and Canadians at the same time. True. What's your opinion on Bessie, Star Wars comics? Personally, I have nothing against the guy. I mean, him and me have been talking a bit back and forth, and well, to me, he's always been friendly. Um, so, to be honest, I prefer El Salvador than America. Hmm, no. What countries we do prefer and which countries we don't prefer, I'm not getting into that. I mean, let's face it, there are black sheep and assholes in every country. How about that? I haven't really dug very much into that, so say that I'll neither confirm or deny that. But to me he's always been fairly friendly. So I mean, sure, we've had our disagreements, but we've always discussed them, and that's basically it. General Zirkobi plus Danish Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bay. Well, why not? Cliffhanger. Well, thanks for the spoiler. Former staff member of his. Hmm. Well, if you want to talk about it, you can private message me on Discord. Let's start a riot. Where do you want to start a riot at? We're four people here. Now that you said Bay, Bae. A and E is actually a combined. It's actually a letter that we have that is combined in Danish, which is called A, mix of A and A. So it's A. The problem is that if you say Bay, that actually means poop. So thanks, that's appreciated. Yes, I know the game was made in 2005, and I surprisingly never played it. It's me, Gonk, that got banned in like February. See, here. So, just to have a little discussion between you all started. Which one is actually more powerful? The dark side or the light? And why? Why? Much more with the dark side. Light is very limited. Is it now? I wouldn't actually say it is. It all depends on how you use it. Problem is that the dark side actually does have a limit, and it has a very nasty one at that. Just look at Darth Sidious. If you're deeply enough immersed in the dark side, it is basically tearing you apart. It's literally physically dismantling you until there's nothing left. Look at Darth Sidious. Look at how he was in Dark Empire comics, where that his clone bodies could literally not handle the pressure. They were basically taken apart in no time. Look at Darth Nihilus. They are equal because no matter what, they cannot exist without the other, so the true way to be the strongest is to walk the line between them. I actually know a Star Wars YouTube channel that I think it's called 100% Star Wars. I'm not entirely sure if that's him or not, but he actually made some very detailed videos highlighting every single possibility as to how and why the Jedi were slaves to the light side and to their code, and why the Sith were slaves to their own code as well. And he also made one on the Grey Jedi. So, if it's him, I'm not completely sure. If it is him, I'll go look after the live stream and I'll put it in the link because this video will also be on the channel. Ever met any Gothic people? Because if not, you have now. Well, pleased to meet you then. And I'm not sure if I've actually met a Gothic person before. Not that I know of. I did meet someone dressed out as Raven from Teen Titans, though. But that was during a convention a month ago. A month ago from the time that this video was recorded. First weekend in August. Alright, Ben. Take care. Or should I say Emperor Bricks Ben Patine. And yeah, see you at another time. So. Can be super dark when he wants. Well, wouldn't say that. In all honesty, my heart tells me that I want to be a Jedi, but my general mentality and everything, also with the way that I'm conducting things in real life and everything, would leave me in the category of being a Grey Jedi. So apart from the two droids that you wanted to see in a versus video, what else can we put up against each other? As long as those vehicles or ships will be fairly equal. No, the reason why I actually made the Venator versus Providence, which is the worst video I've ever made, but strangely enough, the one that I actually got the most views on, of the versus videos, that is. Oh yeah, Commandos versus Arcs. I can try. It's not my strong suit. Qui-Gon or Ben? That's a tough one, actually. I would probably say Ben. Ben Kenobi. But yeah, as I was about to say, one of the reasons why I actually made the Venator versus Providence video was actually because I wanted to see which one of those two ships would actually come out on top. We've seen in episode 3 that the Venator is tearing the Invisible Hand apart. Problem is that the Invisible Hand had already been engaged in a battle, and, well, Bark Speeders, or the Speeders from Return of the Jedi. I don't actually remember the name of the Speeders from Return of the Jedi, but I know which ones you're referring to. But, yeah, I don't know. Can't say just yet. Have to look at it. Know that. Have this one. Don't worry, I'll remember it in a few moments after you've forgotten all about it. Yeah, I kind of like it, yeah. Some metal or some fantasy music, though. Let's see. got good video ideas? Yeah, you do? Here, save as. Invisible Hand versus Malevolence. I can already tell you now. Malevolence, hands down. As I was about to say, it has to be a battle where the ships are fairly equal, or at least where they're put up against each other as direct rivals, which is one of the reasons why I put the Venator up against the Providence class. Well, the Providence has, was it 48 weapons installed in total without ion cannons? The Malevolence actually has 500 twin turbo lasers. So, Imperial Star Destroyer versus Imperial 2 Star Destroyer. Imperial 2 was made for a reason. But it did have some weaknesses that the Imperial 1 did not, so possibly a good idea. Eclipse. It's one blast from the super laser. But if you want to know how I personally think that the Malevolence would actually fare against a Superstar Destroyer, I would suggest going and watching the video that I made with the Malevolence versus the Executor class, or Executor, depends on how you pronounce it. So it's on the channel somewhere on the versus video playlist that I made specifically. Let's see here. Now, that is an interesting one. The Mandator class, Dreadnought. What's the Mandator 4? You're referring to the one from The Last Jedi, right? Ah. So by Clone Wars, do you mean the Pride of the Core? MC-80 versus the Invisible Hand. What kind of MC-80? The Wingless, the Home 1, the Liberty? I already made a MC-80 Home 1 versus the versus a Providence class. Yes, it did have, hasn't been seen much. Games, one of the mods for Star Wars Empire at War, Forces of Corruption, there's a mod called Republic at War. There you can get the Pride of the Core, let's say Mandator Class 2. But again, is it the MC-80 Home 1, MC-80 Wingless, MC-80 Liberty? Arc 170 versus X-Wing, that's interesting. I'll write that one down. Well, which X-Wing? Like quite a few different models and such. Death Star versus Starkiller Base. I would refrain from using those, honestly. But I definitely think Starkiller Base. Then again, Starkiller Base is just an oversized Death Star, so Death Star on steroids, basically. MC-80 Liberty. Eclipse. Depends on what I can find on the Supremacy, though, compared to the Eclipse. The T-65 then. T-65 actually. Triple hand specifically, or on what would have happened if the Roman Empire never fell? Good question. Honestly, and that's a really good question. I haven't read much into the Roman Empire, so most of my knowledge of history spans over World War II. The Mandalorian shuttle seen in Rebels. I'm not sure which one that is. I've only ever seen season 1 of Rebels. Yeah, I know. I'm far behind. History nerd. Doesn't surprise me. So, but in that case, I think we can all agree that the M4 Sherman was the best tank of World War II. And then now someone's gonna disagree. Greeks versus Spartans. I would like to keep it Star Wars related. Wow. You actually agree with me. I wouldn't have thought that. The Tiger tank, fine tank if it just hadn't been so complicated to build. Remember that the Americans built over 45,000 Shermans around that in just about 3 years, whereas there were only produced 1,300 something Tigers. So, yeah. And despite how many tank losses actually happened during World War II from the Allies, it's surprising that only 1,700 men actually died in Sherman tanks, despite more than 2,000 of them being knocked out. So that's because the Sherman had an advantage that no other tanks had, or at least only that a very tiny minority had. Panzers? You mean Panthers? No, that's obvious. The Spartans are going to win. I mean, they're going to yell, "This is Sparta," and then they're going to kick their enemies. So, no, but jokes aside, would actually be a fairly interesting to see, yeah. Yeah, but what Panzer are we talking about? Panzer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 7B? Or the Panzer 8? Ah. When you say Panzer, I'm thinking about a Panzerkampfwagen. From 1 to 7, or from 1 to 8. Oh. But yeah, the Panther tank was a Panzer 5. The Tiger was a Panzer 6. Oh boy. But yeah, in general though, I would say that a Sherman is also better because compared to how many were produced, how little maintenance it actually took, how how easy it was to drive, how roomy it was, the actual firepower of it. And I would actually say it was a very decent tank. And not only that, but it was something that the Americans could rely on. One of the reasons why the Sherman has such a bad reputation, even to this day, is because it was actually put up against enemies that it wasn't really designed for fighting. It was meant to hunt down light tanks, maybe tanks of up to 25 tons in weight, but no more than that, and to be used as well as infantry support and such. They were never actually designed to go against Panthers, Tigers, and Tiger IIs, yet they actually managed to take them down. And they went all the way. So, and think about this. It is the most widespread and used tank during World War II. Heck, the Sherman even saw service in Russia, on the Soviet steppes. And it saw service in the Pacific Theater on some of all the amphibious landings that the Americans made during the war with Japan. So, I would definitely say that the Sherman has a very well-earned reputation as being the best tank of World War II. But in a single one-on-one battle, a Panther or a Tiger would definitely take it out. And yes, depending on the drivers too. But Shermans could kind of be compared to magnificent frigates because they can take a fair punch, they can give a decent punch back out, but they're best used en masse. So, that's the thing with Sherman tanks. The T-34s from Soviet Russia, on the other hand, was made to drive 1,000 kilometers or maybe 1,000 miles themselves because they were so crudely built. They weren't built to survive, they were just built to handle a single battle or two, and then they could be discarded and hop in a new one. What if the Cold War actually sparked World War III? Will we even be here? Most likely not. No. Will be mutually assured destruction. That's the only thing that actually kept World War III from not going hot. And in all honesty, though, I don't ever think that the Cold War stopped or ended. It had just been dormant. It's either that or now it's just Cold War 2.0. But in all seriousness, though, all these stupid politicians really need to get a grip and hold of each other and start doing something right. Swap countries out. What's with the Korean War? Oh yeah, definitely. Well, actually, it was just a truce, an armistice of some sort that was signed. It was never actually a full peace agreement. So officially, North and South Korea are still at war. Or should I say Republic of Korea and People's Democratic Republic of Korea. Just replaced Russia with North Korea. That's how you look at it. It also depends on the opponent. So. But yeah, back to an earlier subject. If you were wondering, well, that's actually been a heavily debated subject for a very long time. In all honesty, I'm not sure, because let's face it, it would have taken possibly many hundreds of thousands of soldiers in the United States or from the United States to actually invade all of Japan. And think about all the guerrilla warfare that would be there. Think about how relentlessly hard the Japanese soldier would actually fight. So, was it justified? Was it not justified? In all honesty, I think it would be about equal casualties, an equal number of casualties, probably more if the A-bomb was not used. Not that I'm trying to justify usage of the A-bomb, because we should never have to use that kind of weapon, but it's a difficult one to set up. Why am I constantly thirsty for this? This is part of the dark side. This is temptation. And don't worry, this is non-alcohol. There's no alcohol in this. It may look like beer, but it's apple juice with carbonated water in it. So, Captain Rex versus Commander Cody. That is one question I have often been giving myself as well. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be able to answer even if I had been trying to study a single matchup between those two for 3 years. I don't know. Because both Cody and Rex are incredibly smart individuals. I'm downloading games ever since the stream started. Well, I'm glad. So, that's pretty cool. What games? Oh, Cody and Rex versus Waxer and Boyle. I would probably say Cody and Rex. Even though it hurts because I really liked Waxer and Boyle. They were amazing people. Just be careful that you don't piss off Boyle, because that means his blood is gonna boil. Ah! Okay, when I start to come up with these kind of puns, that means I'm punishing everyone else around me, and that's usually a sign that I'm getting tired. Said something about calls in episode 7. Possibly. It's definitely a possibility. Well, they were bred to obey, basically like droids, so it's possible. But since one stormtrooper is actually capable of, defecting like that, CSGO, Left 4 Dead, World at War, Battlefield 1943, Mirror's Edge, and a Lego game. That's pretty cool. Then the Senate would have been eradicated. That would probably mean including Chancellor Palpatine, if, of course, he hadn't been smart enough to, which I think he would be, no doubt, to actually exclude himself or have himself removed from the Senate and as a Chancellor position. I think he would avoid it regardless. Chancellor Shaggy Balls would have died. Lego Star Wars 3 is free this month. Must get. Go ahead. So, and where are you getting that game from? Because I might as well just consider it. Xbox Live. That is a complication, though. So, thinking about having the stream going for about 10 more minutes, and then it's about time to sign off, because I can feel that my eyes are starting to get pretty heavy too, and it's 2:34 right now a.m. where I am. Need Xbox Live Gold, and you don't have it. Sorry to hear that. games on Steam, but no PC. That is no good. You gotta go finish the market. What market? Be with you always. A roleplay market. All right then. So, but yeah, if we have nothing more to, well, that's a nice comment. If we don't have anything more to talk about, I would like to sign off though. My ideal fleet would be a Mon Calamari fleet. It consists mainly of well, as long as we can keep the debate going. I'd just like to not exceed 1 hour and 30 minutes. But my ideal fleet would definitely be Mon Calamari ships for battle and Venators for cargo hauling. So they would be my trading fleet because they're fast. They have huge hangars, which can take amazing loads of cargo. I mean, if you empty the hangars and take all the fighters out, everything, imagine how much extra space you actually have for hauling cargo. It's incredible. So take those for cargo, probably as carriers as well. Otherwise, I would definitely have Mon Calamari ships and have the what's it called? And have ships from the new class fleet modernization program, all consisting of MC-80Bs, Republic-class Star Destroyers, MC-90, Majestic-class heavy cruisers, and Nebula-class Star Destroyers. Those are definitely five of my favorites. That also reminds me that I did make a Nebula-class Star Destroyer versus MC-90 Star Cruiser video, so definitely go and check that out, as well as MC-80B versus MC-90 and MC-90 versus Majestic class heavy cruiser. So definitely check those out. They're on the channel on the versus video playlist. So last thing, new rebel leader. You really think I'm the rebel leader? Well, it's actually kind of fun because just some weekends ago, I was in a town here in Denmark called Odense, the third biggest town in Denmark. And the funny thing was actually that Femi Taylor was there, the actress who portrayed Ula, the green Twi'lek that was eaten by a Rancor in Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi. I did not get a signed autograph or picture with her, but she actually married a Danish guy who lives in Odense. When I went in there, it was just a tiny con, like it was one room, and that was it. I went in there, took a brief look around, and I went out again. So when I went back out to my car, I actually took out the Jedi robe and the lightsaber and everything. And as soon as I went back in, it was so perfect. Nothing was planned. I hadn't even seen the guy there. Just as soon as I went in, I looked to my left, and there was a guy dressed up as Darth Nihilus. The funny thing was that instantly I, of course, raised and ignited my lightsaber and took up the typical Obi-Wan pose, that he also used against Grievous. And then we started kind of walking around each other in a circle like this, slowly, constantly kept an eye on each other. It was really fun. None of it was planned. It was all just coincidental. Everything was just so perfect. Like, you have no idea. And did I just make a Trump sign? But yeah, it was amazing. And it didn't take 5 minutes before he and 3 others tried to recruit me into either the Rebel Legion or 501st. So, which I am definitely considering. But, and the funny thing actually was, it would be very cool, yeah. We actually crossed blades, Nihilus and me. He chose the wrong Jedi to pick on. Oh, but the guy behind the costume, that was actually pretty interesting. He actually turned out to be the big brother of one of my best friends from the boarding school from back in 2010. So, and that was something I figured out after, because a picture of us crossing blades had been posted on a Facebook group there. And the funny thing was actually that then my old friend from the boarding school was like, "Hey, wait, I know that guy, isn't it?" Then he messaged me asking if it was really me, and I confirmed that it was. And he said that it was his big brother that I had been crossing blades with. So it was actually quite a fun coincidence right there. So, might actually, let's see here. In a live Star Wars show. Well, about that, I don't know if any of you know about Star Wars Theory, the biggest Star Wars YouTube channel on YouTube. He's making his Vader fan film, and he also needed an Obi-Wan. My single greatest regret is actually that I never auditioned for the role as Obi-Wan, because I really wanted to, but I never had any private time or anything, so I couldn't make a proper audition for it, which was really sad. Because, trust me, would have been fun. I'm not saying I would get the role or anything, because I really doubt that I would, but it would have been fun to at least try it out regardless. So, let's see here for a moment. If I can actually find the right one. I know this is gonna suck, but might be able to show a picture of actually what happened of when I crossed blades with Nihilus. Now this is on the phone, sadly, so it's a bit difficult to see, but it's there. Of course, the light sucks, as usual when it comes to this kind of thing. Problem is, you can't really do much about it. Let's see if we decrease the lighting altogether. Maybe able to. Yep, it's there. So, but yeah. Otherwise, if people want to see it, they can message me on Discord, and I'll send it to them there. Probably. All right. So, but yeah. I've also been thinking, because I took a few recordings of when I was at the Genki convention, the convention I went to over a month ago, just short of a month ago. Darth Nihilus, one of your favorite Sith? That's awesome. But, well, the way I would say is that during this Genki Con, it was actually pretty fun. If you go look for, I'll just type for Sowek on Twitch. Go look at one of his videos, a 7-hour long video. Then at 6 hours and 34 minutes, it says Danish convention something. If you go to that one at about 6 hours and 34 minutes, it was actually when I just came back from a photo shoot, and the lightsaber was still ignited. I was actually helping some people with some light because they couldn't see a damn thing. It was getting dark. So I held the blade down so that they could actually see it. The guy was live streaming on Twitch that day, so that was pretty fun. So, but well, if no one else has anything more to say, I would like to round it up, because let's face it, it's almost 3 a.m. here, and I am starting to get heavy-eyed. Like Atten Rand said, don't mind me, I was just getting sleepy-eyed. So, no one else has anything else to say here. I would like to thank everyone who's been watching. Both who were watching, those who left, those who will be watching later on when this is no longer a live stream, but will be uploaded as a video on my channel. And I hope to see you at another time, and hopefully these will actually get somewhere, these live streams. If you want to see more, don't hesitate to hit me up either on Discord or somewhere else. But if no one else has anything to say, I would like to set the Navi computer and soon make the jump to Lightspeed. So, may the Force be with you all, and have a great evening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and remember to hit the bell button to make sure that you become part of the Zirka Legion. So, may the Force be with you. Peace.